Whether you're analyzing transactions as part of an audit project, verifying compliance certificate, or testing controls for risk management, control monitoring, or governance, there are further investigations that we must perform to fully understand and verify results of our testing. Here we've analyzed the data and prepared the results table. We'll then export these transactions to Results Manager, where the data is centralized in a secure environment where you can determine who gets access to this data and at what level. As you can see, with ACI Analytics, we're able to follow security best practices such as obscuring or tokenizing sensitive data such as payment card number. This way, we're able to stay compliant with any controls or security standard that our organizations have. In this video, we're going to highlight 3 ways Results Manager can help you gather additional information on transactions and collaborate and communicate with other stakeholders across all departments. Number 1, it's collaboration and gathering all the information and tracking the progress of that investigation. Here we can assign the transactions to the right person or the person who owns that business unit. We can set the appropriate status and priority for each transaction and track those status and priorities as the investigation progresses. And we can have discussion threads and attach evidence as needed on each of these transactions. This tool also allows us to simply automate all these by specifying simple rules depending on our workflow and creating triggers that will automate the whole process. Number 2 is sending questionnaires to gather specific information. And that's for some transactions. If we require gathering specific questions on each of those transactions to be answered, we can create a questionnaire and send it via email to the person who performed the transaction or the manager of their function. In this example, we've created a simple questionnaire with 2 questions, and the email will automatically be sent to me to answer that. I simply click on the link, I'll see the questions, I'll make the corresponding answers, add additional comment, I can attach files if needed, and send it off to be reviewed. Now that we've gathered all the information from questionnaires and marked the appropriate status and priority for each of those transactions, we can analyze that additional information. Here we can see that there are different visualizations that you can create on the data. We can show all the transaction distribution based on the status that we've assigned to them and see the total spending on each of those priorities. Put all the transactions on a scatter plot bubble chart to see how they trend over time. And again, the color is based on the status that we've assigned to them. And even on the questions that they've answered, we can create the visualizations. Here's a pie chart that is showing how people answered the question, have the latest policy book been distributed to you? And as we can see, most of the people who've been violating have answered no to that question. So this is a very simple way to analyze all the information, not just the transactional data, but all the additional data that we've gathered on each of those transactions, and to be able to communicate that with other stakeholders in our organization.